Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. We just got back from a trip on the Carnival Magic, and I thought that I would share with you everything that I loved and everything that I hated about the Carnival Magic. So it's just going to be my likes and dislikes on the ship, and I have about 7 items for each category. And I always like to start with what I most enjoyed. So we'll start on a positive note. One of the first things that comes to mind when I think about one of my favorite parts of the Carnival Magic is the cruise director, Ryan Rose. He was so much fun, so full of energy, so down to earth and kind and compassionate and just a real lovable person. And I was really glad to have him as our cruise director. One of my favorite things to do on a Carnival cruise is typically they have a day and a time where they do kind of a Q&A with the cruise director, and sometimes with also some of the dancers and actors and people that are on the fun squad. But this particular ship offered a Q&A specifically with Ryan Rose, and he was just such a great person to get to know. So really, he kept everything so much fun. I cannot believe how much energy this guy has and how many activities he runs throughout the day so successfully. All right, the second thing that I really enjoyed about the Carnival Magic, and this is really my experience on any Carnival ship, is the fun squad and just the constant entertainment on the ship. The fun squad is out and about all day long. They are doing trivia games. They are doing games at the pool. They have all kinds of activities throughout the ship, and it's so much fun. They're really great. They get you to interact and, kind of like let down your guard, do some karaoke, do some dance competitions. There's just so much fun stuff going on, and they're really high energy, and they just keep it fun all of the time. There is always fun stuff going on. That's why it's called the Fun Ship. That's why this year's tagline is "Let's get Thunderstruck," because seriously, from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, it is just nonstop fun events going on. So that's really great, especially for families, because it keeps the kids entertained and the adults always have plenty of fun things to do. So it's a very high energy, entertaining type of a cruise ship. All right, the other thing that I really enjoyed was some of the wait staff. Some of the waiters and waitresses and bartenders were so much fun and really catered to your needs. Once you got to know your bartenders, they would know what drinks you most enjoyed, and they would either have it ready for you, or they would just confirm like, oh, okay, you want a mojito or you want a pina colada. Like, they kind of know what you like. And I think that's really great. And especially the bartenders, I just felt like they were always having a good time, always, kind of like dancing around and singing and flipping things and making things. And they were just fun to watch. And while I'm on that specifically, because one of the things on my list is the Alchemy Bar, one of my favorite locations on the Carnival Magic. I believe one of the bartenders' names was O'Dally, something like that, O'Dally. He was really fun. He always knew my drink when I arrived at the bar. And those bartenders, if you've ever been on a Carnival cruise, just watch them in action at the Alchemy Bar. It is like they are performing a chemistry project. They are just nonstop flipping and pouring and measuring, and there's such an art to it. It's actually really fun to watch them do it. So I really enjoyed our time at the Alchemy Bar. Also, the drinks are amazing. It does tend to get crowded at certain times of day, and usually where the Alchemy Bar is, there's some type of entertainment going on, usually some live entertainment. So that's always nice too. One of the best locations on the ship, in my opinion. Something else that I really enjoyed was our room steward. We had a man named George taking care of our room, and I don't think I've ever been disappointed in a room steward on a Carnival ship, because they really watch out for you. They're kind of there in the hallway a lot of the day, morning, noon, and night. I don't know when they sleep because I feel like they're always available. And when you arrive, they give you a little business card that actually has their direct number on it. So if you were to run out of toilet paper or have a shortage of towels in your room, or if there's anything that you need, typically you can call them and they are already on your floor and they're very, very quick to respond. At least in my situations on Carnival cruises, that's always been the case. And it was the case with George. He was great. He actually had all of our laundry taken care of one day, and he always decorated the room so cute with towel animals, which is something that Carnival is well known for, and that's always a lot of fun to come back to your room and see like a monkey towel animal hanging from the ceiling of your room and whatnot. So he was really great. Something else that I really liked about the Carnival Magic were the kids clubs, and most specifically, there is different categories of ages for the kids clubs. And sometimes you're in a situation where your kid is just like maybe a little bit too old for their age category, which was the situation for my daughter Madison, because she was going to be with children that were mostly younger than her because the cutoff was 11, and she is 11, but she's going to be 12 in only a couple of months. So I did ask if I could bump her up to the next level, and they asked me a bunch of questions. They kind of did like a mini interview. They weren't just going to do it. It kind of took a little bit of a conversation and an understanding that she was mature enough to be incorporated in the older group. So she was put into Circle C, which is where her other friends were, because we did travel with a large group. I coordinated a group cruise. I was a tour conductor on this group. I work for a travel agency, and I do an annual big group cruise every year. So it's a lot of fun, and a lot of her friends are a little bit older. So it was nice that they were willing to work with me and to bump her up into the 12-year-olds. Also, the older kids had a great time at the kids club because that is where they met their core group of friends. So my son met kids from all over the states, and he would meet up with them every night at the kids club, and then they would leave and go do their own thing. But that was kind of like their meeting up place. So when they were looking for friends to hang out with, they would go there, and they would just go over to Club O2, which is the older teenage club, and they would get together, and then they would go do like the deck parties and karaoke and stuff like that. So it's really a great way for your older kids especially to meet up with other kids as well. And the funny thing is, they made friends that are lifetime friends at this point. Since we've been home, they've actually been like meeting up places, getting together and doing things together, because we're all kind of in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area for the most part. So they're able to now continue their friendship back at home, and they may actually be going on our group cruise next summer. So it's just amazing how that works out. I really, really love that. And the last thing that I'm going to mention that I loved about the Carnival Magic was that it was a very clean, well taken care of ship. The bathrooms were always immaculate, and the common areas were always clean. The dining areas were always quickly wiped down and cleaned up. People leave their dishes and their messes when you're on a cruise. Typically, you just leave everything at the table, and the wait staff was right there to clean up the dishes, wipe down the table, and get it ready for the next person. So I thought that was really amazing that they were really on it, kept everything clean and tidy, and it just was really nice, especially in today's day and age, to feel like you were in a very clean and well taken care of environment. And the same goes for our cabin. It was always taken care of well, and it was always nice and clean. All right, so this is the sad part. I really don't like coming down on cruise ships because I love to cruise, but there's always stuff that you're not going to like. When you go on vacation anywhere, there's going to be something, right? So for me, on the Carnival Magic, here are the 7 things that I most disliked about this ship. I'm going to start with the food. The food was not that great. I've cruised with Carnival for many, many years, and I really do feel like the quality of the food has gone downhill, and most specifically in the dining room. some of my meals were just, I couldn't even eat them. I ended up going for pizza or something later in the evening. Although I do have to say the pizza and the guys' burgers were still a really good plan B because that food was still pretty decent. But yeah, overall, my experience with the food on board was not very good, unfortunately. The other thing that I didn't like was it was so crowded. I feel like they need to cut back the capacity even allowed on some of these ships. There were times where you could barely even walk through certain hallways and areas because the crowds were so tight, and it's just, I don't like that. I like to have a little bit of personal space, and they're definitely back at full capacity. And it just felt really overwhelming. The pool area was crazy. You couldn't even get in the pool on most days. And even if you were in, you were kind of shoulder to shoulder with people. It was kind of gross. I don't like to be that close to people in a pool. And in addition to that, there were hardly ever any pool chairs. You would have to get up at about 8 o'clock in the morning and reserve a chair, which I don't like doing and you're not supposed to do. So I don't do it. So I never had a chair for the most part. So yeah, it was really hard to find seating. And even if you did find seating, getting into that pool with all of those people was just not really desirable for me. Something else that I did not like was their guest services. So if you have any types of issues on board, you have to wait on this big long line for guest services. And it's always packed because lots of people always seem to have complaints. And I don't do it unless it's something really legit. And I had 2 situations that were legit and were not rectified, which was really aggravating because you're taking time out of your vacation to wait online for a half hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. And I had to do this twice for 2 different issues, and neither of them were resolved. And I'll quickly tell you what my situations were. Our first night in the dining room, one of our friends had brought a bottle of wine, and they opened the wine and they poured it and they were drinking it. And then they had also given me a glass of wine from their bottle, and I was at a completely different table. So the waitress came up to me and asked for my sign-in sale card. I didn't understand why, but I let her see it. And the next thing I knew, she charged me a $15 corking fee. So if you go to the dining room with an unopened bottle of wine, they will charge you $15 to open it. It wasn't my wine. It wasn't at my table. I did not bring it. I should not be charged the $15 for some person at another table who opened up and poured themselves a glass of wine. It's completely irrelevant to me, but yet they charged me for it. And I had to wait online, and they said they would take it off. At the end of the week, I had to wait online again because they didn't take it off, and they said they would, and it's a few weeks later and it was never taken off. So there's that. In addition to that, the first day of our trip was my daughter's 20th birthday. I pre-purchased a cake, which we never received. I waited online to ask for a refund on the cake that we never received, and I never got a refund for that either. So super frustrating, so much so that I really am hesitant to book with Carnival again, unfortunately, for that reason, because I don't like them. I don't like the thought of them taking my money and not giving it back to me when they had no good reason to keep it, because it's totally on them what had happened. Okay, another thing that I did not like was the excursions that most of the people in our group booked were bad. Like, they were just straight up not what they said they were going to be. And lucky for myself, I did not book any excursions on this trip, and we did very well on our own, and we had a great time, went to great beaches. And those in our group who did book excursions ended up at really rocky beaches that were not nice to be at. They also promoted that some of these excursions had food and drinks and alcohol, and then when they got there, they didn't. And they told them it was because of COVID, but yet they didn't reimburse them. They paid full price, considering that, say, alcohol was going to be included, but then it wasn't. So they also went to guest services, and I don't think they got refunded anything. They just wasted their time waiting online and arguing just to get nowhere. So that was frustrating as well. Something else that I did not like was there's not enough options for food late in the evening. So back in the day when I went on my honeymoon on a Carnival cruise, it was so cool. They used to do like a big midnight buffet, and they would have these like sculptures made out of food. It was so amazing. They had big mermaids and pirate ships and all kinds of sea creatures like octopuses and things, and they were all made out of food. You would actually go on 2 lines. You would wait online just to take pictures of everything, and then you would go online again to eat the food. And it was such an event and so much fun. And then they also used to have quiche at 2 a.m. They had like this big quiche thing going on, and I love quiche. So they'd have all different varieties at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would stay up just for that. So, I mean, they used to offer so many fun things. And I think for the 50th, it would have been really nice for Carnival to bring some of those things back. And instead, it was basically eat pizza or nothing. So I had a lot of pizza on the trip because most nights I didn't really eat my dinner in the dining room because it wasn't very good. And then I would be starving. And the only place really to go was typically to get a late night pizza, which we did most nights. So there's that. Okay, and the last thing that I did not like about the Carnival Magic were, although again the wait staff was amazing for the most part, there is a language barrier. And this frustrates me on so many of my trips, having kids with peanut and tree nut allergies, because I really think that the people in the dining room need to understand that somebody can ingest something and die. Like, it can be that bad, it can be that severe. And if they don't understand or know what you're saying, it can put you in a really dangerous situation. Now, keep in mind, before you go on the cruise, you already have in your paperwork that there are allergies. And then when you arrive on the first night, the head waiter will already know about the allergy, and they'll give you a menu the night before to select the food that is safe for you. So even all of that being said, at the end of the week, my son came to find out that his waitress the entire time thought that he had a bean allergy. And he was like, wait, what? Like, all week I could have been eating things with peanuts and tree nuts because you were focused on a bean allergy? So, I mean, that was really, really upsetting. In addition to that, one night I just very luckily happened to go over to my daughter's table. Again, we were in a big group, so the kids were kind of split up in different areas with their friends. And my daughter Madison, who is 11 years old, also has a severe peanut and tree nut allergy. And I noticed that something that she was eating had bread on the side, and there were walnuts in the bread. And she was about to eat it, and I said to her, I think that's nuts. So I called the waitress over and I said, my daughter has peanut and tree nut allergies, if you remember correctly from the multiple conversations we've had about it throughout the week. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, sorry. And she took it away. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, if she had eaten that bread, if I didn't go over and recognize it and she had eaten it, things could have ended very badly, like very, very badly. So when it comes to stuff like that, that just really makes such a big impression. I don't care how friendly and attentive people are to your needs. If they're not going to recognize an allergy situation, I don't think they should be working in the dining room. I think that should be one of the first things that they learn about to avoid any type of a horrible situation happening on the ship. I mean, they're so worried about COVID and COVID cases and people becoming ill or having to be helicoptered off of the ship. Well, let's start with the allergy situation, because that is a surefire way to have an emergency evacuation and possibility of death on your ship. And God forbid, you know, so yeah, so that really was the most upsetting part of the trip for me. Okay, well, on that note, that is the summary of everything that I loved and hated on the Carnival Magic. I love to cruise. I will probably go on more Carnival cruises in the future, but you know, now I know there are certain things that I have to really be wary of. I probably will not pre-order any cakes or anything like that again in the future. I will have to constantly reiterate the allergy situation and probably always oversee what my kids are eating anyway, because there's a good chance that they're not paying attention to it, things like that. So, you know, you learn and you know, and you take precautions because you just want to have a safe and fun trip. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you are cruising anytime soon, or if you're hoping to plan an upcoming cruise, feel free to contact me. I am a travel agent. All of my info is always listed below. I would be happy to help you plan your perfect vacation. There are lots of other cruise lines as well that you can choose from, and lots of different itineraries and things like that, that would meet your needs, that I'd be really happy to help you figure out. Thank you so much for watching. If you are not subscribed, please be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments below if you have any questions in regards to the Carnival Magic, Carnival Cruise Line, or just cruising in general, or just travel in general. I'd be happy to help. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.